The key to getting anything you want in life is focus. And proficiency or fluency in a foreign language is no different. Your ability to focus is directly proportional to the outcome that you get. But in language learning, it can be pretty difficult because it's not always clear the link between the activity that you do and the study you do and the result you get. After all, what activity is it that results in you learning grammar? What is it exactly that results in you having confidence to speak? It's not possible to tie direct links. And this is the thing with language learning. There are lots of options. You have an abundance of options, an abundance of material, and it can be very difficult to know exactly what to focus on and what to do on a daily basis, especially if you follow YouTube channels and websites like mine where you get all this advice flying at you from all angles. Recently I started learning Japanese again. I went to Japan after the first time in 5 or 6 years or so. I fell back in love with the language and just decided to dive head on into learning the language again. And I talked to a lot of people. I talked to my friend Andrew in Hiroshima, some other friends who have learned Japanese to a high level, and I gathered some really great resources. Some resources for reading, some books on kanji, some vocabulary apps, which I normally don't like, but Andrew showed me this one app called Sticky Study, which I thought was really kind of useful and also kind of suited the mood I was in. I also started using Link, which I think is awesome for content, and I thought all of this material that I found was fantastic, and so I started. I kind of got these bits and pieces one by one. So I kind of first started, and I picked up this one book, and I started a daily routine of using it every day, and it was super effective. And then I found this other book, and I started adding this into the mix. And then I found this other thing, and before I knew it, I had like 5 or 6 things going on, and none of them were proving to be effective. Even the thing I started doing right at the beginning had stopped being effective. It was no longer working for me because I was now dividing my time and my focus between all these other activities. What I've since done is to strip back all of that stuff and to focus on only 2 things. In fact, in my main study, what I call my core study time, which is what I do every morning, I spend an hour every morning learning languages, and in that 1 hour I do only one thing. The second thing I have is for kind of dead time when I'm on the train or on the bus or something like that. But my main focus is on only one thing, and as a result, my rate of progress in Japanese it's like night and day. It's crazy the difference. When I talk to language learners and I ask them, what are you working on? What are you doing? What materials are you using? More often than not, they list out like 8, 9, 10 things that they've got, different materials or courses that they're working through, and then sure enough, like that's kind of followed up with some kind of quip about, but there's never enough time in the day, right? And I kind of find it hard to balance all of that and to keep learning. Look, focus is the key, and it is almost always better to do one thing over and over exclusively than to do 2, 3, 4, 5 or more things and to try to balance them all up. You can rationalize stuff down to the ground. You can say, well, I need to improve my listening, so I'm going to do Olly's conversations course. I need to improve my grammar, so I'm going to go through that grammar book. I'm going to do 1 chapter a day, and then I'm going to do a few sessions a week on italki speaking. All this stuff makes sense. When you try to kind of reverse engineer your progress, you think, okay, I need to do a bit of all of this. But the reality is, like, you can make far more progress just focusing on one thing. Anything that you study is never usually isolated and restricted to one kind of mode of learning. If you're reading, you're not just practicing your reading skills. You're growing your vocabulary. You're getting used to grammar. If you're practicing speaking, you're not just practicing speaking. You're also learning vocabulary from your speaking partner. You're improving your listening skills. All kinds of things. The benefit of doing one thing is that you come back to it day to day and you can iterate on it and improve the way that you approach it. This is something I'm going to talk about in another video. The importance of routine and doing just one thing over and over. The first time you do anything, you're really very good at it. First time you ride a bike, first time you make a video or write a blog post, it's terrible. But then the way that you improve that is not by sort of endlessly studying the best way to ride a bike or the best way to write a blog post. It's by doing it over and over. The way I grew my website was by simply writing one blog post every week for years on end. So all it took, really, at the core, when you drill down, that's all I did. Sure, I did some other things, but the core discipline was writing a blog post a week. What I'm doing now with Japanese is I've pretty much scrapped all the other material that I've got, even though it's great. But all I'm doing is focusing on listening to narrations of articles that I'm interested in every single day. So I'm listening to these audio recordings that I asked my friends to do, very kind, and I have to thank my friends very much for doing these audio recordings. So I'm listening to these audio recordings and I'm reading along to the text of the article. So I'm listening and reading to these different articles in Japanese, and I'm figuring out the vocabulary, and I'm listening and I'm reading. That's all I'm doing. Every day when I wake up, that's what I do. I don't mix any other things in, I just focus on that. And as a result, every time I sit down to do this, I figure out how to do it more efficiently. I figure out how much the balance of time to spend reading as opposed to just listening to the audio over and over. I figure out how often should I go back and actively try to memorize some of the vocabulary. I figure out the best, most useful amount of time to spend. I iterate on the process, but I'm only able to do that because I'm doing the same thing every day. So if you feel in any way overwhelmed or confused about how to organize your study, how to find the time to get stuff done, my suggestion to you is to really simplify and strip back everything you're doing. Just choose the one thing that you suspect is working best for you, the one thing that you think is most effective or most powerful. You don't even need to be sure. Just use your gut, whatever you enjoy, whatever seems to be productive, and just do that. Do that one thing for an hour a day. Do it at the same time of the day. Study in the same way every day, and just try to improve the process. Extract more value from that 1 hour that you're spending doing that one thing. If you operate on that basis, you are going to improve everything you do. And just by focusing on that one narrow thing, you'll be amazed how the benefits start to filter into all areas of your language learning, whether it's speaking or listening or anything like that. That's what's been on my mind recently as I'm going back and trying to improve my Japanese. I hope that was useful. Leave a comment below. Let me know how you organize your schedule, or perhaps the one thing that you're focusing on right now that is proving to be most valuable for you. If you'd like more tips like this, you can subscribe to the channel. You can visit my website at iwillteachyourlanguage.com, and you can sign up to get emails from me with more stuff like this and a lot more besides. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.